morning, ladies and gentlemen. I wish you a blessed morning full of enjoyment. Of course, today our lecture is entitled The Right to Environment. We have been spending a lot of time talking about human rights, children's rights, human rights and media tracking, and also women's liberation movement, women's movement, and we have tackled also the most vulnerable people in our society and their rights. Of course, in order to enjoy or feel the full enjoyment of our rights, of course, we need a place, a very clean water to drink. We need also a very clean air to breathe, and we need a very beautiful earth, okay, on which we can enjoy our life in peace, safety, and of course. So, as I have said, today will be the lecture will be very special, as it is also related to human rights. But this time we are going to talk about the right to a healthy environment. I do believe that if we would like to enjoy our human rights, we need a very beautiful earth, a very clean earth, and a very safe, healthy earth in order to enjoy and to perform all our rights. So the right to health to a healthy environment is recognized as is essential for the enjoyment of other human rights, such as the right to health, the right to life, and the right to water. So without a healthy, a blessed environment, so we cannot enjoy such rights. So today, of course, in light of these blessings, of course, aspiring for a healthy environment, we opt for these objectives for our lecture. So, first of all, we are going to understand the concept of the environment, the right to environment. We are going to see what does it mean the environment in the first place. Then we are going to tackle the right to environment. What do you mean by the right to environment? Then what is the environment in the first instance? So we are going to see this. Also, we are going to explore the importance of environmental rights in human rights context. We have been talking, as I have said before, about maybe all the human rights in details, women, be they women, men, or children, people with disabilities. But of course, all these people, in order to enjoy their rights or their full rights, so they should live in a very healthy, or enjoy the living in a very healthy place. The other objective is that we aim to analyze global and national efforts in environmental protection. We have already dealt with many international treaties, many institutional frameworks, of course, that advocated or which advocated for the rights of human beings. But today we are going also to see what are the international treaties that advocate, of course, for the right to a healthy environment, which is as essential as all our rights. So, what is the first question that we may ask, for example, in this context, is before, of course, tackling the right to a healthy environment, what is the environment in the first instance? So, the environment provides essential resources such as air to breathe, water to drink, and soil to grow food. And it also supports biodiversity by maintaining balanced ecosystems. So this is the environment. Of course, sometimes we can talk about many types of the environment, like for example, the natural environment. For example, we can talk also about biotic factors. We can talk about abiotic factors. So what do you mean by natural environment? For example, so this includes the physical, biological aspects that occur naturally. So this is the environment, and it has also biotic factors. It means all living components such as plants, animals, fungi, for example, and microorganisms. So this is what we mean by biotic factors. This is grosso modo, it's the environment. Also, there are some abiotic factors, like what, like non-living elements like air, water, soil, for example, minerals, sunlight. And the sea, for example, temperature. So all these things. So they are very, they all what is what surrounds us. So it makes the environment. Also, the environment encompasses structures and areas. Okay, what's surrounds human beings, for examples, for living, for working, for recreation, such as cities, buildings, for examples, agricultural fields. So all these things. So we can call them the environment. Also, the environment encompasses everything surrounding us, both natural or indirectly human-made things, for example. So either directly or indirectly affect life. So everything that affects our life, so it is considered as the environment, either implicitly or explicitly. Also, as I have said, sometimes even we can say that the environment includes all these things that I have said: air, water, land, plants, or some natural things, and at the same time human made things. Types of the environment. So it's very good to talk about what is the environment. Yes, so we have seen that everything that surrounds us, either it is natural or human made. But at the same time, there are some types of environment, like terrestrial environment. It is land, for example. It includes forests, deserts, grasslands, urban areas. So this is what we mean by terrestrial environment. There is also the aquatic environment, as I have said. So this is the water-based environment, including oceans, rivers, lakes, and wetlands. And those types, of course, they are overlapped, they are intertwined. We cannot separate them, because all of them we can label them as the environment. Atmospheric environment also, it's the layer of gases surrounding earth. So it's the atmosphere, and this is why we have, sometimes we talk about climate change nowadays, which includes factors like air quality. This is something very important, and climate. So this is the atmospheric environment. So this is just to know what is the environment before, in order to know your right to environment, which is something that is very related to our life. If we would like to live, I do believe in a very peaceful, healthy environment. So we should, in the first instance, know what is the environment. It's like knowing what are our rights. Being aware of the nature of the definition of the concept of the environment is very necessary, of course, to know our right to that environment. So when we talk, for example, about terrestrial environment, so we should know it's about land or forest or deserts or grasslands. So it means that we should, as human beings, for example, so we should enjoy the right, of course, to these things. Like aquatic, for example, we should have the right to water, and not any water. When we talk about the right to environment, we should have the right to clean water that we can drink, and we can drink it in a healthy way without being or falling sick. Atmospheric also, we have the right for or the right to breathe a very clean air. So the quality of air also does matter. So you see, so those are the types of the environment that we should be aware of, in addition, of course, to the concept of the environment or the definition of the environment. Now, while knowing the concept of the environment, now we should move to the right to a healthy environment. So what's in a name? What do you mean by the right to environment? What's in a name? So this is sometimes it's a very debatable issue, because when we talk about the environment, this is something, it's a global issue nowadays. But why? Because we live in one earth, and we live in one space, and it depends. regardless of the geographical location, for example, of our countries. But we do share the same air, for example, we do share the same earth, and this is something very important. It makes this issue a global one, and at the same time, it makes even our worrying about this issue a global one, because everyone on this earth, for example, is worrying and is fretting about the environment, is fretting about water, is fretting about the quality of the air, is fretting about the soil, for example. So this is something that concerns us as a human being. Well, so let's see. So the right to environment, it means protection from environmental degradation. So you should be protected from environmental degradation. So this is the right to environment. So we shouldn't live in a polluted, for example, area, because this will affect our health and will affect our health. And if our health is affected, so of course we cannot perform at rights. Remember that I told you before in the previous lectures that maybe the most important thing that people should enjoy is healthcare, because if you are not healthy, you cannot think, you cannot write, you cannot move, you cannot perform your daily, for example, activities, and this is something that of course will affect our daily lives. And in order to be healthy and in order to enjoy your health, so you should be protected from environmental degradation. The second thing is that you have the right to access to clean water, of course, to clean air that you breathe, to safe living spaces, and these are the blessings. When we came, for example, to this earth, so the earth was a very clean space. But of course, because of industrial revolution, because of many technological revolutions, unfortunately speaking, so human beings have polluted this earth and have polluted the environment. So therefore, we are negotiating nowadays the right to environment. You see, we do have or we should enjoy access to clean air, water, and safe living spaces in order to protect our health, or in order to keep our health safe. We mean by the right to environment protection from pollution. And this is a very serious, disastrous phenomenon, of course, that everyone all over this globe, of course, suffers from. We suffer from pollution because of industry, because of because of the mining also, so and many industrial activities. Unfortunately, the people who are in charge of this industrial project, so they don't care about the environment, but just about their incomes, and unfortunately speaking. But anyway, so this is what we mean by the right to environment. Conservation of natural resources, so this is also your right. So you should have access to natural resources, like for example oceans, like seas, land, also soils, the air. So these are the natural resources. It means they are not human made, they are there, naturally speaking. Biodiversity and ecosystem protection, so this is what we mean by the right to environment. So of course, in order to preserve our environment, we need to balance the ecosystem. If we don't know how to balance the ecosystem, and because of pollution, sometimes the ecosystem gets really unbalanced and very affected, and it affects also the biodiversity. Climate change mitigation and adaptation. This is maybe the very controversial issue, debatable issue that we suffer from nowadays, is the climate change. And I think that you can even deduce that wherever you go nowadays, so you find that there is this climate change that affects, for example, not just the atmosphere or the balance of the ecosystem, but also it affects human being in the first instance. You see now many catastrophic disasters all over the world, like heavy rains, for example, high temperature, sometimes even even for example we don't have that ecosystem balance, so and this is something that affects, of course, human beings. And of course, because of all the things that I have said, industrial revolution, um, mining, and many other industrial activities. So of course, there has been like many issues that rise because of pollution and because of that ecosystem imbalance. Like for example, these are global environmental issues. Wherever you go, for example, so you will find that we suffer from the air quality. Okay, so this is something that we suffer from. Also, this is an issue. Water pollution. Also, this is a problem that we suffer from. Deforestation. Also, because of the dissemination of buildings everywhere. So you find buildings. So people are very worried just to build um, high buildings and forget about nature and forests. So we have also this problem, and these are global environmental issues that all countries, all nations, all communities all over the world they suffer from. But of course, we are going to see what are the strategies that countries, for example, will offer in order to protect the environment. There are also many other issues that I have spoken about. So you see climate change, for example, water scarcity, industrial pollution. So these are global environmental issues, and they are not specific to uh, to countries. No, they are global because we are living in one earth and we suffer from all these things. Well, now we are going to just watch a video, then we are going to continue our lecture. So we are going to watch this video, okay, to just shed more light on this question of the environment, and we are going to see why, for example, the place in which we are living, why it does matter.
Where you live matters. The environment around you can affect your health, safety, and life. That is why activists, indigenous peoples, civil society organizations, and governments have advocated for international recognition of the right to a healthy environment for decades. In October 2021, the United Nations top human rights body overwhelmingly voted to recognize the human right to a clean, healthy, and sustainable environment. It is now among the universal and inherent human rights that belong to all of us equally, regardless of who or where we are. Having a clean, healthy, and sustainable environment means having clean, safe air, water, land, and soil free from pollution. It also means having healthy ecosystems and a safe climate. Despite this important recognition, there are still many dangers that threaten our right to a healthy environment. Bauxite mining in Guinea and Australia, for example, threatens local communities' access to clean water and air. While in Brazil, man-made fires tied to deforestation release toxic pollution into the air that endanger the health of thousands of people. Such abuses often cause great harm to marginalized communities, but in the end, they affect us all. Environmental rights abuses contribute to climate change, arguably the biggest threat to humanity yet. The World Health Organization predicts that climate change may cause around 250,000 deaths per year between 2030 and 2050. So, how can we reverse this dangerous trend? By holding governments and corporations accountable for environmental harms, demand they take real action to address the global impact of climate change. Think global, act local, and share this video to let others know about their right to a clean and healthy environment. To learn more.
Okay, so as you have seen on this video, so we have the right to a healthy, safe environment. But of course, as you have seen, so sometimes human beings they are very responsible for destroying okay, those blessings. I do believe that when we talk about clean water, for example, or the quality of air, and even a very clean soil, so these are blessings from God, okay? So, and human beings, we have the responsibility to protect those blessings in order to enjoy our life. Otherwise, we are going to just live in a very polluted space, in a very polluted environment, okay, in which we cannot even enjoy the rights that we talked about maybe yesterday and before yesterday. So in order to maybe think about the right to freedom and the right to health, for example, the right to education, where education will take place, okay, if you don't have a very clean, for example, atmosphere, a very clean soil, a very clean water. So you cannot, because this environment is very related to health safety, and if you don't have the right to health safety, so you cannot of course enjoy the other human rights, okay, that we were talking about. So you see, this is something that is happening nowadays, and it's a fact that we cannot deny it at all. But the problem that we should, for example, now negotiate is that what are the solutions, how we can, for example, protect our environment from this destruction. What are the suggestions, and what can we propound, for example, in this context? So these are the things that the United Nations, for example, this organization has, for example, done. So there are many international treaties of the United Nations on environmental rights. So we're going to see now what are those organizations, what are those treaties, of course, that bear the responsibility for protecting the environment. Yes, so as you see here, so there was, of course, the Stockholm Declaration in 1972. That was the foundational United Nations document. And this is a very important document. Why? Because it raised awareness about the need for environmental protection. It recognizes human beings' right to equality, okay, or to a quality environment. We have the right to have a quality environment, a quality air, a quality soil. And also, this is very important. And you said this is in 1972, so it's really it was years and years ago. But still, of course, many countries all over the world, so they have ratified this document, and they are working with it, because it's very necessary, and it is a foundational United Nations document to protect the environment. There is also the Rio Declaration on Environment and Development, signed in 1992. And this is again a key outcome of the Earth Summit. There was an Earth Summit in 1992, and it was like a declaration established principles to guide sustainable development globally, emphasizing the need for environmental protection as part of development policy. So this is again another very important document that was, of course, postulated and signed in order to save our planet, in order to save the environment, and of course balance our ecosystems. Also, there has been United Nations Framework Convention on climate change, and that was also signed in 1992. It was like a treaty that aims to stabilize, of course, the greenhouse gas concentrations to prevent dangerous anthropogenic interference with the climate system. And it led also to subsequent agreements, like what we are going to see here, like the other document. It's the Kyoto Protocol that was signed in 1997. This Kyoto Protocol also, this is a very crucial document, and it is an extension of all the United Nations document. And this protocol, of course, legally binds developed countries to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, setting the stage for future climate agreements. This is also it was a really very important document among many other documents that were suggested by the United Nations. Um, the Paris Agreement also, that was a very important phase in the development of environment protection. It was a landmark treaty, really, because it builds also on United Nations documents, and at the same time on Kyoto Protocol. And this agreement precisely targets reducing global warming by limiting the temperature increase to well below 2 degrees Celsius. It emphasizes also the importance of climate action and sustainable development as integral to environmental rights. So this is the Paris Agreement, and it was also a very important step in environmental protection. Uh, there is also this United Nations General Assembly. This is also a very important document, resolution on the rights to a healthy environment that was just recently, and it was signed by many countries. Now, of course, these are, as we have seen, so these are, generally speaking, these are the United Nations documents, and very important universal documents, of course, that were signed by many countries all over the world, and they were ratified by many countries all over the world. And of course, those documents, again, they will generate other local documents. It means, again, we're going to talk about each country has its particularities, has its own environmental context, also does matter. So we can talk also about environmental context. Like, for example, if we would like to see, because even pollution, it differs, the degree of pollution differs from one country to another. Like, if we examine pollution in Morocco, for example, it will not be the same as pollution in India or in another country, so, or in France or in Spain. So it depends. So here again, so these are universal documents that they are very crucial, yes, very important and very interesting indeed. But at the same time, they have generated some local agreements. Why? Because the environmental, as I have said, context does matter, and some countries really, they have taken those documents and they have gone far away, okay, in the protection of the environment. And I'm going to just provide you with a very pertinent example from my country, from the Kingdom of Morocco, to see to what extent our kingdom has, of course, ratified all the United Nations global documents on environmental protection, and to what extent it has gone far, okay, in this question, on this issue of environment development and protection. So really, we can claim that, and this is not by me, Morocco's leadership in climate action, but this is, of course, said by many specialists on the environment. This is how they label Morocco. Why? Because Morocco has indeed made strides in protecting environmental rights, both through its national policies and active participation in global environmental agreements. So Morocco, all the time, wherever there is like a symposium on the environment, so you will find Morocco there, or Moroccan members or activists there. So Morocco is all the time is within, okay, the global agenda. So Morocco also, we can say that, faces particular challenges due to its geographical, like, location, sometimes even economic conditions, but still, really, all over the world, Morocco has been recognized as a leader in climate change initiatives, especially in Africa. So we are going to see why Morocco is labeled as a leadership in climate change. So because of its recent national, of course, policies, and we are going to see what are those policies that Morocco, for example, that Morocco has, of course, made in order to advance the question of environment protection. So, of course, Morocco has been engaged in many worldwide activities, symposiums, environmental conferences, in order, of course, to because all the members or all the Moroccan population, so they are very aware of this important issue. And all those national legislations and policies, so they are under royal orientation. So in many times, of course, His Majesty King Mohammed VI so has of course postulated many strategies, many policies all throughout Morocco from Tangier to Lguira, and we are going to see that in most cities in Morocco there is this consciousness and there is this awareness of protecting the environment. So Morocco so has been engaged in national legislation and policies that concerns, of course, that concern environmental protection. Also, there is something which is very important, and this is why Morocco has been recognized as a leader in environmental protection because of its strategy of renewable energy. I'm going to show you very concrete examples of how Morocco has developed this strategy of launching this renewable energy. Also, there are many anti-pollution measures, okay, that Morocco, of course, has initiated, okay. So really, we can find, and this is just an example, we can find that Morocco has been engaged in this question of environment protection because all the activists in Morocco and all the intellectuals, for example, so they work together in order to protect the environment, to protect Moroccan people's right to a healthy environment, and this is something very very important, as I have said. So I'm going to show you very concrete examples about Morocco and how this kingdom is very committed, okay, to environmental rights and to environmental protection. So I have so many examples, but we don't have time to just introduce them all. So this is a very important project that was initiated, of course, under the royal orientation. So the Noor Solar Complex, it is labeled the Noor Solar Complex in Ouarzazate, a city, of course, in Morocco. And this complex is a very powerful example of Morocco's commitment to environmental rights. This is something very important. And of course, it elucidates Morocco's commitment to setting up sustainable development. This project highlights also the intersection of environmental projection and at the same time economic growth. Because when we talk about renewable energy, this is also economy. So it also makes clear Morocco's concern on this question of economic growth and showcases Morocco as a leader in renewable energy in the region and especially in Africa. So So this project completed in phases. So there was, of course, there were steps to complete this project because it's a project which is, of course, very big. Noor Warzazat, and Noor it means, of course, light. So this is Noor in Arabic. It covers approximately 3,000 hectares and has a total capacity of 580 watt. It provides clean energy to around 2 million Moroccans, significantly reducing greenhouse gas emissions. So you see, if you still remember that all maybe the Kyoto Declaration and the document and many other documents signed by the United Nations. So they all most of them they talk and they raise this issue of the greenhouse gas. Okay, to reduce the greenhouse gas. So this is a project that is, of course, initiated by the Moroccan Kingdom in order, of course, to contribute to environmental protection and in order to contribute to setting up human beings' right to a healthy environment. There is also, of course, if you see almost in many cities, so you will find such projects, okay, such because there is Noor Ouarzazate, there is also Noor Laayoune, and many other cities. But of course, I'm going just to just filter and to focus on some cities. Yes, so you see, so this is the project in Lyon. Of course, Lyon is here. It's in the south region of Morocco, and also there is also Boujdour. It's in the south region of Morocco, and also Tarfaya. So these are all these three cities. They are situated here. So it's in the south of Morocco, and they what that is here. It's in the east of Morocco. Okay, so all these cities, of course, they have benefited from this solar energy project, okay, and in many other cities, not just in Lyon or Ouarzazate or Boujdour, in many other cities, okay. So Morocco was very committed, of course, to developing a very good strategy in order to protect the environment. So we are going to see what is the nature of these projects, of course, in Morocco. Let's begin with the Lyon Solar Complex. So this is Lyon, the solar complex is one of the smaller solar energy projects completing Morocco's flagship Noor. Like, for example, the project in the solar complex in Ouarzazate. So it was developed to harness the region's high solar radiation potential, particularly in the Moroccan Sahara region, to contribute to the country's national electricity and great sustainability. So you see here, so this Lyon solar complex is like the one, okay, which was established in Ouarzazate. So this is, of course, to provide electricity to all the people around the city. The same thing for the Tarfaya. The Tarfaya wind farm is one of the largest wind energy projects on the African continent. It's not just in Morocco, but the project is really it manifests Morocco's leadership, okay, in this issue of renewable energy. So you see, the Tarfaya wind farm is one of the largest wind energy projects on the African continent. So this is something very crucial. With a capacity of 300 watts, it produces enough electricity to power around 1.5 million homes and significantly reduces carbon. So you see the mission. This is a very noble mission of this project. It reduces carbon emissions by offsetting approximately 900,000 tons of CO2 annually. So you see, so this is something that is very important. So these projects really, therefore, we these projects, of course, makes Morocco serve as a model for the protection of the right to a healthy environment. The Boujdour solar project adds to Morocco's renewable energy infrastructure by providing a stable supply of solar power through photovoltaic technology, which converts sunlight directly into electricity. So you see here, so this is it's rendering sunlight into electricity. So this is something which, of course, again protects the environment. So these are just examples, but in almost all Moroccan cities, so we will find such projects. I think even in Khouribga and in many other cities in Morocco. Well, so we can, for example, deduce here that Morocco really, we can say that it's a model for the protection of the rights to a healthy environment. At the same time, it is very committed to promoting sustainable development and safeguarding the future of its citizens. So therefore, these of course projects, they are emanated from the United Nations, of course, documents on environmental protection. But it depends, of course, again, we have talked about the environmental context. So environmental context does matter in environmental protection, because it depends. Morocco's situation, for example, it is a very sunny country. So therefore, those projects, of course, may make it very easy, okay, for Morocco, for example, to handle like this photovoltaic technology, for example, which converts sunlight into electricity. The same thing for the Nor Ouarzazate, for example, because maybe the whole year Ouarzazate is very sunny, and in it, so you can enjoy the sunny weather, like in many cities, for example, in Morocco. And this is what makes it very easy a little bit for Morocco to handle such projects. In addition, of course, that the strategy of the royal orientation is about to protect, of course, Moroccan population, and to of course set up the right to a healthy environment. There is also another project. It was very big indeed, and because of Morocco's commitment to environmental protection and sustainable development, so the COP22 so took place in Marrakesh city in Morocco, and this is in itself a very good proof that Morocco, of course, is leading this strategy of environmental protection. So the 22nd conference of the parties, of course, of the United Nations, so they gathered in Morocco, and it was like a framework on climate change. So I think if you followed the news beforehand, so I think you followed this event, okay? So it was in Marrakech city, and it was a significant climate conference that was, of course, that was held in Marrakech from November the 7th to November the 18th in 2016. So Morocco, of course, hosted this event, and it shows to what extent Morocco at that time took a leading role in driving climate action, of course, forward, especially in the context of African and developing nation needs. So it was really a wonderful symposium. So as you see here, this is the COP22, stands as a critical milestone in climate diplomacy, and Morocco, of course, had the privilege to host it in Marrakech city, moving from Paris Agreement to Action Marrakech. So of course, in Marrakech, there will be many outcomes indeed of this symposium, and providing a foundation for ambitious global and regional climate initiatives. So you see, this is also another proof to what extent, of course, countries maybe all over the world, so they are very committed to this environmental right, and they are very committed to setting up human beings' right to a healthy environment. And this is just an example from my country, but of course there are many examples in many countries all over the world. But since I am very acquainted with my country, so I think you have the right to talk about it, and to share even our Moroccan experiences with Indian people, and with people all over the world. So I think that these are some very concrete strategies. It's not just theory. We have talked about like the question of human rights at the theoretical level, but sometimes we question to what extent we can render theory into practice. This is how we can render, for example, the theory of when we hear, for example, we have the right to a healthy environment. This is something very important. And when we examine all the United Nations, for example, declarations either on human rights or on the right to a healthy environment, so of course we just face theory. But those, for example, projects that were, for example, initiated by the Kingdom of Morocco, so they show to us and they elucidate and clarify to what extent we can render theory into practice with just hard work, perseverance, and determination. If the people are very determined, and if, of course, the government also very determined, so we can all work together in order to establish a very safe environment where we can enjoy our life. I do believe that even all the rights that we have been talking about, and all the declarations on the international bodies or treaties, they have no sense if they are not practiced and if they are not rendered into practice. And this is exactly what Morocco has done, of course, and this is why Morocco has initiated all these projects, because to render what is in theory into practice. And this is done not just in the question of environment, but in all human rights areas, okay? Not just in environment, but many strategies, for example, have been initiated by Morocco in order to develop human rights in general, not just at the level of environment. Yes, so I hope that you have now an idea about the right to environment. So we are going to see, okay, this to finish or to conclude with this quotation by Rachel Carson. Okay, she claims that bottom man is a part of nature, and his war against nature is inevitably a war against himself. So you see what we can say, for example, that we as human beings, we are part of nature, we are part of the atmosphere, we are part of the earth, we are part of this land, of this soil, and we are part of our environment. All of us, wherever we are, okay, and whoever we should assume our responsibility, because if we destroy the environment, we destroy ourselves. If we destroy the environment, we destroy also our happiness. We cannot enjoy happiness and resilience in a very polluted, for example, era, or land in a very polluted earth. So this is what this very specialist scholar on the environment is what she says here. So we should be very aware. And I do believe also that there is maybe later on we are going to deal with development like journalism, and we are going to see to what extent even those questions of environmental issues, they are very crucial, they are very preponderant in journalism, especially the environmental issues. Why? Because in order to raise people's awareness about these questions, so we need tools, and we need some means, and among them is development journalism that we are going to see. So even there is the question of media that even we tackled before. So media also plays a very pivotal role in raising people's consciousness about the necessity of protecting the environment, like the necessity of protecting water also. So we shouldn't just consume water without, arbitrarily speaking, without any, for example, awareness, no, but we should protect everything that surrounds us, because this is those things, for example, water, land, air, those things that they are mine, or they are ours, okay? So we should protect them. If we don't protect them, we just engage in a war against ourselves, and we don't destroy nature, but we destroy ourselves, and we destroy even our future, and we destroy even the next generation's future, because we are very responsible now to just maybe. And this is a message that we can even tell people everywhere, that if, for example, we care for the next generations, so of course we should prepare for them, and we should keep for them a very healthy environment and a very healthy soil. Okay, so these are the references, of course, that from which I have, of course, based my lecture. So please, if you can consult this book. This is a very important book. So by John Knox, the human right to a healthy environment. This is a very important source. So please try, if you would like to delve more into this issue of environment and environmental questions. So please, you should go okay and tackle deeper or delve deeper into this book. Thank you very much. Okay, see you in the other lecture on development journalism.